So you've all been in a fair share of indie movies, and this year sort of are getting into some of the bigger studio films. Have you noticed a big difference between working on both kinds, or is it not as grave of a difference as everyone kind of imagines?
I've only really done small. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I consider these films small films, the ones that I'm a part of with these guys, and they both definitely felt like they were about things that weren't immediately accessible or easy to just kind of sit back and chuck popcorn in your mouth and kind of allow like an explosion or an action sequence to kind of wash over you. So I don't really have anything to go on yet.
Although you will in about a
Yet.
month, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be weird. I think it's gonna be really weird. Yeah, I don't know what to expect at all. It'll definitely be a different way of working, and my approach isn't going to change. I'm just going to still approach it like I'm doing a short film of Spider-Man that my friend's directing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I have to approach it, or I'll lose my mind, and crack under the pressure, or if it exists or it doesn't or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Self-inflicted pressure. But yeah, I'll let you know next year.
Right. Do you feel like, I mean, because film like Never Let Me Go is pretty cerebral, and Spider-Man, of course, is going to have a lot more action scenes, and you were saying, you don't know how they're going to rig you up or whatever. I mean, do you think your approach is going to be different, or it seems like you're sticking with your old method?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think every first day of shoot is first day of school, and you go in and you forget that that you have any technique whatsoever. You always forget. I mean, I always forget that I have no idea what I'm doing. As soon as you start shooting, you just because you get overpowered by excuse me, fear or insecurity, and you kind of just think massive self-doubt. And so no, I think this is just going to be no, I think it has to be the same approach, kind of if you can I don't know, if you can go into like an action sequence. I think I'm just guessing, but if you can go into an action sequence with the intention of making every moment come out of who the character that you're playing is, then that's important, and that's just I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Okay. Much more articulate than you think. Carrie, you, having been through Wall Street, that was sort of your first big jump to a studio film, right? I mean, are there things about the process you learned that you would share with Andrew, or?
I got on a motorbike, but I don't think I did much more than that. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like that kind of film. It felt, we had a bigger crew because we were in New York, and you need more people. The food was better, arguably, but that's it really. There was no difference. It felt like, we had rehearsal, which is rare. You never get to rehearse. So 3 weeks of rehearsal was probably the only difference. And then after that, it was only 11 weeks. It wasn't sort of, we had like 9 on Never Let Me Go. So I don't have any wisdom to pass out.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So you
Good luck.
and Andrew both grew up in England, although I know Andrew was born here and then later went over there. But what did you know about Hollywood growing up? I mean, what was your impression of the film industry over here, and how different is it now that you've kind of experienced it for a couple years?
I romanticized it like I think most people do, and I thought it was a place, like it's that wonderful naivety that you have when you're a child watching your first film, and you go, like how like you think it's happening live. You kind of think, oh wow, they shot that in an hour and a half. Wow, they shot all of that stuff in an hour and a half, and how did they coordinate it all? And it's like not every film is Russian arc. I kind of realized that late. A few people got that. But that's kind of all of those wonderful like naive, idealized visions of what it is to make an American film are crushed as soon as you make one. No. I mean, it's fantastic. I can't lie. I feel incredibly lucky to have done the stuff that I've done, and with the people that I've done it with. And if I think about it too much, or if I analyze it too much, I'll implode. I'm just incredibly lucky.
And Carrie, when you first got to LA, I know a lot of people were saying like you took the bus, and the last couple weeks I've heard you're staying in a Best Western, which everyone is like, how could you do that? I mean, are you surprised at all the scrutiny that sort of comes along with living here and not being able to do normal everyday stuff?
I can drive now, so that's a
Oh.
win. Yeah, I took the bus because taxis are so expensive, and I was living in. When I first came to LA, I was like 22, and I was staying in the Century City Intercontinental because my dad works for Intercontinental, so I got a good deal. And I could see the Hollywood sign, from my window, and I was thrilled. And it was the best day. And then I started taking the bus and doing meetings and all that sort of stuff, and was at a bus stop one day, like my second day in LA, and a car pulled up with like black windows, and they rolled down, and somebody pulled out a gun and pointed at me, and then laughed, and then rolled down the window and drove away. And so that was my introduction to LA. So I was a little bit disheartened, because when I came out here when I was 11, and we were down in Muscle Beach, and I was with my parents, like on a family holiday, and it was one of the most exciting days of my life to that point, because I saw Mario Lopez shooting and I was like,
AC
what?
Slater?
And I was one of those kids who was exactly AC, but it wasn't AC Slater because Saved by the Bell had finished by then. But anyway, big Mario Lopez fan, very excited. Watched that for a bit, and that was sort of my only impression of LA. So I know it a little differently now.
So you've adjusted. You have your own car. Yeah.
I do. I do.
You still see AC Slater every day, though, don't you?
I do, and I'm always thrilled when I see him.
What is he? He hosts a show.
He
now,
hosts
like
a show, and every time, all the way through award season, every time we did a red carpet, and I saw AC Slater, I was like, a complete disaster. I went bright red, and I was always like, and they make you stand really close to these people, uncomfortably close because of the camera angles, and I was always like within sort of kissing distance.
It was your dream come true.
Every one of my dreams has come true this year, including that.